Okay. Okay, guys, we are live. We are live. We are live. We're live. We're live. Hey, guys, it's Old Man G here back again with another Red Devil Studio Live podcast. And we've got a lot to talk about. We've got the regulars here. We've got Josh, LB, Shawnee, and Kesai who's coming in. We're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Liga coming back. We're going to be talking.
Okay.
Oops, sorry, that's
Okay,
me.
guys,
What?
we are live.
I always do this. Sorry, guys. We're going to be talking about the Premier League coming back, fantasy football. We've got a lot to get through. So without further ado, obviously, before I go into it, if you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button for latest Manchester United news. So let's basically get stuck into it. I'm towards my phone off, which is making notifications for some reason. The Liga. The Liga is back. The Liga is back. It's back. It's back. Both Barcelona and Real Madrid were able to make good wins over the weekend. Messi making a very, very good performance, as is Ramos. So I'll just start. I guess I'll just start with. I'll start with LB actually. So and I hope maybe some of you guys maybe caught the Liga game. LB, what did you think about Liga coming back in general and standout performances? What are your thoughts?
I thought the league coming back in general was really good for football, seeing that you have arguably two of the biggest clubs in the world in the league being able to go back onto the field, and arguably one of the best players in the world as well, Lionel Messi, being able to not just come back but put together a really good performance, kicking a goal and contributing to the win. So I think it was not only good for Barcelona, for La Liga, but really good for football. In terms of the result for Barcelona, it didn't really surprise me. Obviously, Barcelona are the serious contender for the La Liga title this season, being in the race against Real Madrid. So I think it really shows that the competition is tight between those two clubs, and that it's considering that Real Madrid were able to win as well. It also shows that they are also serious contenders themselves. So it's going to be a really sort of exciting finish, and the end of seasons, you never know what to sort of expect, whether that's in La Liga, Premier League, wherever you are. But it's certainly going to be really exciting as the season sort of draws to a close.
Okay, thanks LB. Thanks. So Josh, what are your thoughts on Liga coming back and just stand-up performances and what have you?
Yeah, it's we were just speaking before. It's good to see. I felt a bit of nostalgia watching some of the teams, especially Barcelona. We saw Messi with the long hair, reminding me of Messi when he was, in his teens back in, sort of late 2000s, and just tearing up the league, dribbling, and it was just good to see. Like obviously we've seen the Bundesliga, and we've seen a little bit of the Serie A, the Coppa Italia, but it was nice to see the sort of footballing giants, as they want to call them, Barcelona and Real Madrid, getting back in, and they look sharp, they look fit. I saw some pictures of Sergio Ramos, sort of post lockdown, and honestly, he looked like an absolute tank. Like he looked like he's been keeping in shape. I know. So who played Mallorca? It was Barca played Mallorca, right? And I know Mallorca are sort of in a relegation battle, but they still look good. I think they kept a clean sheet that game. Real Madrid conceded one, although Courtois improved. Is gradually improved. Had a bit of a season to kind of see where his head was at. But yeah, it was just nice to see some of the, like, I know we watched the Bundesliga and Serie A, but I consider Barcelona and Real like still the giants of football, and it's just nice to see them back in action. Looking forward to Wednesday now, where the proper football is at.
Fair enough, Josh. Shawnee, what are your thoughts on Liga being back and these performances? What are your thoughts?
similar to what I said last week. It's great to see it back, providing that they can do it safely. They're obviously convinced that they can, and the Bundesliga is lighting the way with that. You know, there's been 0 cases amongst them in the football league, and I know that there's the stadiums are obviously largely unpopulated, but still, you know, there's obviously a few hundred people in the stadium at a time. But it's been safe. There's been no spread, so it's been positive signs. La Liga, exactly the same. Really positive response by anybody. And like I say, it's, you know, football gets to a certain point where, you know, obviously it's very entertaining. People love to watch it, and it's, you know, a part of my life in general since I was growing up. But obviously we want to make sure that it's done in the right way. So it was great to know that obviously the Bundesliga leading the way, as the Germans always do in some cases, and then having the Spanish league come back into play as well. Just hugely exciting to see. You know, it's at MESSI. I know LB was saying, you know, arguably one of the best players in the world. I personally think there is no argument. You know, definitely the best player in the world on the pitch, and it's just brilliant. It's just really exhilarating to see everybody back in action again. And once again, you know, they've been training together. Everything's been done in a really good, cool, calm, collective manner. No one's gone too overboard. Everyone's kept themselves to the regulations, and it seems to be working. So it's exciting going forward, and maybe give us a little bit of a taste of what next season looks like, because it's a possibility that, you know, large crowds are not going to be in the stadium for some time now, and it will give us a taste of what might look like the future of football for the coming maybe season or maybe 2. I hope not. So really positive, and yeah, Messi back in action. Obviously, he only scored in the 93rd minute, but you can tell that he was an influence throughout the whole game. So yeah, brilliant. Definite 10 out of 10 to see it all back.
Fair enough. I'm just going to bring KSI in, and then Average Joe has just a few statements about Real Madrid. So KSI, what's your thoughts on Liga being back, stand-up performances, etc.?
First of all, Barcelona are finished.
Right. Okay. Why are they finished? They beat Mallorca 4-0.
Man. Look at, I think Barcelona need to rebuild their defense and midfield. Look at the game. First 20 minutes, I thought, okay, Barcelona in the when their defense was putting, you know, they were playing out from the back, and they were playing. You know, I thought their defense was looking more confident and relaxed. As soon as Mallorca pressed a little bit, you can clearly see they were at trouble. It's because Mallorca don't have football intelligence, and they're not good football players.
Okay.
That's why Mallorca never beat Barcelona. Barcelona could have easily be beaten by anyone.
Okay.
But as I said, I think Messi and was the difference. But I don't think he was the man of the match on Saturday. I think Jordi Alba was my man of the match on Saturday. Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid looked good. I think Real Madrid will win La Liga this season. Personally.
Oh, okay.
I think Barcelona need to, you know, how do you say? I think Barcelona really need to. I think Barcelona, before they ever win a La Liga, is going to be like 3 years before they win La Liga again.
Well, they're 2 points ahead of Real Madrid at present.
Red Devil, stop this nonsense, man! Stop this nonsense. Barcelona are not going to win La Liga.
Okay.
Relax. Barcelona are not going to win La Liga, and if they do win La Liga, I'll do a forfeit. But Barcelona are not going to win La Liga.
I'm going to clip this clip. Okay, I'm going to clip this clip and then remind you of it.
You're doing loads of forfeits. You're going to do a forfeit if Liverpool win the league, and you're going to do a forfeit if Barcelona win the league. You're going to be doing a lot of push-ups.
Nobody's daring you either. You like
you're putting it on yourself.
You're putting restrictions on yourself, bro.
Let me finish.
Yeah, we'll finish your point.
I think La Liga is boring now because Barcelona, there's no real challenge. There's no real challenge. Barcelona are not going to win La Liga this season, as you know. Real Madrid are the champions already, so there's no point. Just enjoy yourself and watch the Premier League on Wednesday when there's real football on.
Okay. All right. Okay, Kusai. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let me just.
It's been a good season. Like in the Liga, there's only 2 points between Barcelona and Madrid. Sevilla are obviously on 51 points, so they could have maybe done a little bit better. But just generally, like midway through, like the battle in La Liga was actually pretty cool. I remember at the beginning we were talking about how Barcelona are going to come back because they were behind Real Madrid by like I think it was like 5 or 6 points at one stage, and we were thinking there was talks about is Messi finished, all this kind of stuff, and now look at them, they're 2 points ahead, I mean, to me, it looked like a fairly convincing win. If Sevilla get a couple of good results under their belt, you never know. They might be up in Real Madrid's face. It's been an all right La Liga season, I think.
I think that's a fair point, Sean. I'm just going to quickly just address some of the comments that we're getting here. I mean, Average Joe seems to have an agenda against Real Madrid, unlike K-Size. So how can you consider a joke when
Average Joe is speaking absolute crap?
Right. Let me at least read his comments, though. Okay, so give me 2 seconds. How can you consider Real Giant when they got beat by Ajax? And then that same question with Benzema up front. Real are in a rebuilding stage, and this will be proven when City knock them out. Okay. And then he obviously has his say against for Barcelona as well. So I guess let's quickly address that. Like, are Real Madrid actually that's a fair question. Like, do you think that Real Madrid are going to basically be took to the sword by City? Are they in the middle of a rebuilding phase? Like, I've just asked that to everybody or anyone that wants to address that.
I just want to put. Sorry, LB. Just before you talk, I was just going to quickly point out Average Joe's recent comment is he's responding to KSI saying that you're talking about no real challenge between Barcelona and Real Madrid. And you're watching a league where Liverpool are 100 points ahead of everybody.
Stop this nonsense. Stop this nonsense. No one wants to watch a top 4 battle in La Liga when there's a top 4 battle in England and a relegation battle. So stop this nonsense about no one wants to watch a league where Liverpool are 100 points ahead. They've not mathematically won the league. So stop this bullcrap.
Well, Georgie B says Messi is always worth watching. This is worth watching. So,
it's true.
But in fact, let me go on to this actually. So I think this is actually quite important.
Sorry, Zero. I was just going to quickly. LB was talking.
Oh, LB, you're going to say something. Go on, LB. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
And I suppose it'd be an ideal segue into the next topic, BBC versus MSN. But there's no doubt that Real Madrid are going through that rebuilding phase. Since that they had so much success of last decade in Europe, 3 peats, 2014 win, and you can only be, on top of the table for so long until your players start to get old, start to pick up injuries. So, given that they're still pushing for a La Liga title, it's still a pretty good sort of achievement, even if they come second. Real Madrid, that is. Given that last season they've obviously lost Ronaldo, Modric, Cruz, Ramos. These guys, they're still top players, but they're probably nowhere near as the quality in which they were able to provide back in 2015, 16, 17, and 18. So. I think it's no doubt that Real Madrid are going through the rebuilding phase right now.
Fair enough. Thanks, LB. And looks like this beef between Average Joe and Kes is going to go on for the rest of the show. So which will be interesting. So I'm interested to see what these topics are. So keep the comments coming in. I like the interaction. It's really good. It's really important. So this does actually segue in, as LB was saying, into our next topic, and that is actually MSN versus. Let me see now. If I'll just quickly get that shut up, because it's everything is always better with a picture, isn't it? There you go. Let's start with Josh actually. So MSN versus BBC, which was the better front three in your opinion? Before you actually address that, there's some guy called Team Takagi is Arsenal biggest club in the world and needs to sit down. Anyway, let's go. Let's go into. let's go into. You go in.
It's you know what it reminds me of. This is gonna sound weird, but I don't know if anyone's seen the Mighty Ducks here. But I remember the Mighty Ducks in, I think it's the second one, and they faced the team from, I believe it's Iceland, and the guys from Iceland are like huge. And obviously the Mighty Ducks are like a bunch of kids, apart from like the Bash Brothers and stuff like that. But they end up winning the whole thing anyway. Spoiler, if you haven't seen Mighty Ducks, it's like 20 years old. And that's what it kind of reminds me of. Like Bale, Ronaldo and Benzema they look like men. They're like physical, you know. Ronaldo's got the aerial ability, Bale's got the aerial ability, same with Benzema. Whereas Suarez, Neymar and Messi, they're like they're amazing at dribbling, they're tricky, so like in my opinion, Messi, Neymar and Suarez are better. I would say, obviously, if you compare, say, the best in each position, like from sort of top to bottom, you go Messi against Ronaldo. I think Messi's better than Ronaldo. Neymar against Bale. Neymar's better than Bale, in my opinion. I think he's on around 260 goals, something like that, in his career, and he's only 25, 26. Neymar. And Bale, Bale's just collecting checks over there. I know Bale's won a couple Champions Leagues, and he definitely played pivotal parts in both of those Champions Leagues that he got. But yeah, Neymar's goal tally is definitely more. And Suarez, he's just an animal, isn't he? Like literally, like he's he bites people. But he's absolute clinical in the box, in and outside the box. That season at Liverpool, I'll never forget. I'll never forget that season at Liverpool. That's maybe one of the best top three strikers I've ever seen in my time in the Premier League. Just the way he could score from anywhere, and he made hat tricks look easy, man. But yeah, in my opinion, MSN. So that's one for MSN.
Okay. One for MSN. We've got two for MSN because Georgia B says MSN.
Arsenal the biggest club in the world. I agree. Team Takagi, one smart man, very smart man. You need more people like him to be in the stream.
Welcome, Tom. By the way, thank you for joining, Tom. Appreciate it. I'll be coming to you in a second. LB, what's your thoughts? Because this was your suggestion, actually. So I'm curious to see what you think. Oh, you there, LB?
You unmute that mic.
Guys, hear me?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Sorry, guys. Look, I think this is a topic in which, it's like sort of comparing apples and oranges. These guys, that is Barcelona, and what they did in that 2014-15 season, was just, phenomenal. The way Messi, Suarez, and Neymar absolutely, wiped the ball with every single team that they came across in the Champions League, and how convincingly they had won that year's title against Juventus, and not only that, but being able to win the treble as well. And if you sort of remember, I think all three players had a reasonably good, Messi and Neymar, that is. Suarez unfortunately was suspended when he beat Giorgio Chiellini in the 2014 World Cup. But apart from that, all three players had a really good tournament in that 2014 World Cup in Brazil. And that was, I suppose, the perfect sort of lead up into the season for those three players. Obviously, that was Suarez's first season. And as I said, the way those three sort of clicked straight off the bat, it makes sort of people wonder why, I suppose, the trio like Griezmann, Suarez and Messi these days can't sort of click. So it's more to it than just putting 3 quality players. You know, their ability to, as I said, convincingly beat teams and score goals was just absolutely phenomenal. Whereas, you know, Bale, Benzema, and Ronaldo, there's no doubt that they were able to bring so much success to Real Madrid's three-peat. But I suppose if you remember, there were certain stages, whether that was in 2016, 17, and 18, where it was either Bale who was benched or Benzema who was benched. I know there was a bit going on between the two of them and Zidane. So if you think about it, it was never really those 3 players playing at the one time who really sort of contributed to a series of victories. They had their sort of individual sort of performances here and there. You know, one that comes to mind is Bale's 2018 Champions League performance in the final. Sorry to bring that up, Sean, but what he did in that final was, you know, absolutely phenomenal. For example, what Benzema did in the semi-final against Bayern Munich in 2018, kicking 2 goals, was also phenomenal. So the way I sort of see it is that Neymar, Messi, and Suarez were more of a trio, whereas Bale, Benzema, and Ronaldo performed individually and contributed to the success that Real Madrid were able to achieve individually in those 3 years. So it's just the way I look at it. So I'll probably give it to Neymar, Messi, and Suarez.
Okay, fair enough, LB. I think that's actually a very concise a viewpoint, actually. So I'm really emphasizes the I guess the differences between the two. Like, it's almost like, I guess, in summary, that you know, the first 3 are more of a team, and the other 3 were kind of more individuals, if that makes any sense, in what they're doing and how they were used, etc. You know, so I think that's a fair point.
I think they've completely, you know, they've underachieved MSN since 2014-15. They could have achieved more, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Janavan actually has a question that says that, guys, what do you think would have happened if Neymar would have stayed at Barca? Does anyone want to take that? Shawnee, Josh?
Actually,
go for it, bro. Go for it.
Yeah. I've unmuted you all. So does anyone have a say on that?
I'll go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can have a say. Yeah.
Okay. So, Kesai, your say on it. What's your thought?
I think if Neymar joined Barcelona right now, I think, you know, I don't think it'll work now. I think that's too old. I think
No. Sorry, Kesai. So the question isn't what happened. It's if what would have happened if Neymar had stayed at Barcelona.
Oh, okay. I think Neymar, looking at it and looking at what Barcelona have done without Neymar, I think the first season they left without him, I think Barcelona would still be out the Champions League. Second season was a disgrace. Barcelona shouldn't have went out the Champions League, I think. So looking at it, I think Neymar wouldn't do nothing. I think Neymar would just be the same. Nothing would happen. I think Messi will still be the best player. All of the media will still be talking about Messi. So in some case, I think Neymar made the right decision. But why did he go to PSG? He could have went to, I don't know, United. What other clubs? Juventus, maybe. Of course, I don't think Juventus could afford him. But if I was Neymar, I'll probably go to Juventus. So there's lots of teams Neymar could have went to. I think PSG is a brick team. I think PSG should not even be in the conversation. I don't know even why he chose them. I think Neymar, Red Devil Studio. What's Neymar's age?
It's the only one that he could afford. Like the only club that could afford Neymar at the time was PSG. Like
No,
literally, like
United
no
as
one.
well.
Yeah, that's the only
United as
thing
well.
they can actually afford him to be.
Yeah, it's like no one was gonna like pay 200 million. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Mm.
That's why PSG. I mean, PSG. They're a little bit of like a. They kind of remind me of the Real Madrid of the 2000s. Real Madrid just went and bought every new player that had like this spark going for them. You know, when James Rodriguez scored that blinder in the World Cup, they just went and bought him. You know, so they just like basically went out and just bought every spark. And PSG sort of that's what they kind of just wanted this, you know, totem at the club, I guess. And I think they were the only club willing to spend the 200 million on Neymar at the time. I can't see Man United spending 200 million on a player like Neymar or 200 million on anybody really.
Wait. You say that. But did you? I think you people don't understand. Back then, I think it was late June. United were heavily linked to Neymar. Even credible sources says United were linked to Neymar. But the problem was they could afford him.
No, the problem was, our board, Edward would have never spent 200 million pounds on one
No.
player. That's the problem, and that was never gonna.
I think
That would never.
No one would. I was
Neymar-
surprised that PSG did. Like,
no
no.
one with a right mind would spend that much money.
No.
Oh, sorry, just bring in Tom. Can I just to bring you in actually? So, what's actually your thoughts on it? Because I know you've just come in. What's your thoughts on the MSN versus BBC debate?
Well, if you look at it, say from the past and everything, say when Suarez first joined, you could obviously see a link up between him and Messi, and with both of them being from South America, that also made it a little bit better, obviously. With them being from like the same continent, and then as soon as say when Neymar was there as well, obviously being from Brazil, being from the same continent, it always helps when you can link up with say fellow countrymen and whatnot. So I think when the way you can easily just link up with people, like when you look at say Liverpool, you look at Salah and you look at Mane, both being from African nations, so you can see how they link up well together. So when you play with say countrymen or you play with people, you know, similar to your say country or your I don't know say religion or whatever, you'd mix well and mix like a lot better with them because obviously you'd know them from your own country or wherever. Whereas when you look at say Ronaldo and Benzema and Bale, they all came from like different points. So obviously Ronaldo and Benzema had got used to playing with each other at the time. But when you bring say somebody and say like Bale, it's completely different. And when players come from different leagues, it takes them a while to obviously mix in that league and everything. So, but I think Barcelona adapted their players to gel and play well together a lot quicker than say Real Madrid did. And I think they've used when they spent the money and everything on these major players, they spent it in the right areas and on the right kind of players. Because when you look at the price that they pay for such as Suarez, in the long run, it's been arguably a very good deal, to be honest. And you look at the same thing with Neymar until they obviously sold him. And then same with Ronaldo. How much did Real Madrid rely on Ronaldo to win him? How many league titles and the Champions Leagues, obviously. So obviously they've relied heavily on him. But if I had to pick out of one of the two front threes, I'd probably say the Barcelona front three has been the better over the years.
You're muted, old man G. You're
Sorry,
muted.
I muted. Yeah, sorry. So I appreciate for your opinion, that Tom. I appreciate. We're getting a lot of comments in. With I think there's a lot of debate in the chat. I think the general consensus seems to be that MSN seems to sort of, with the exception of I think maybe Ilya and Case, I think have gone for the BBC, whereas MSN, everyone else seems to have the general MSN. Has everyone spoken on this? Josh, have you spoken on it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think it's just Kesa, actually, I think. Kesa, have you spoken on this? MSN versus BBC?
No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah. So just give us your thoughts.
I think looking at it, so I'm just gonna get who is the better player out of all those six. Suarez versus Benzema. I think Luis Suarez is the better player. Neymar versus Gareth Bale. I think Neymar is miles ahead of Gareth Bale. Ronaldo and Messi, I think Ronaldo is better. So I think personally, I think the BBC is better because even though MSN have got chemistry, I think BBC are more consistent than MSN. I think MSN, when they're on form, they're miles ahead of BBC. But Red Devil, I don't think lots of people actually watched MSN sometimes. They were sometimes very inconsistent. So that's why I would go with BBC. But it's very close. I would go BBC though. But yeah, I think BBC are the better, and I think hopefully, even though I think it's a bad decision now, hopefully we get the MSN reunion. But I think even if that does happen, I think BBC will still be there. I think BBC are more consistent, and they're more hungrier than MSN. That's my view on it.
I think, and I think before we move on topic, this is really good, and thanks LB actually for bringing up this sort of topic, because it's generating a lot of debate here, and two, it's generating a lot of debate in the comments as well, between Ilya, Average, and a few others. So it's actually really, really good. And as I say, if you have, for those people who are listening or those people on the panel, if you have specific topics that you want us to sort of discuss or debate, we obviously will be talking about stuff that's happened over the week, gonna happen, but also stuff like this. I think we'll try and do more to get people's views and opinions on, because we want to get you guys more involved and we want to have a good discussion. On my opinion on this whole sort of thing is that, one, I think it goes back to almost what LB actually said, and the idea the problem with I think the BBC versus MSN debate is that a lot of the time BBC were not actually playing together. Very often you had Isco was obviously playing, Arsensio, Vasquez, etc. So depending on who was there, and especially when Zidane sort of came around, Bale came out of the pitch, obviously, and so MSN, when they were together, literally played together, all the time, and that sort of comeback at Camp Nou against PSG was absolutely phenomenal. I know it wasn't just them, but obviously they were part of that. So, it's difficult. I think at the same time, you've got to look at what this team did, and the clutch. I guess I sit on the fence in terms of that. If we're talking about the group, then for me, MSN is better. But if you're talking about individuals at specific times, then for me, BBC is better, because at individual times, individual moments, these guys stepped up. There is a reason why the BBC or the involved BBC won 3 back-to-back Champions Leagues. That's not a fluke, So, and I know Neymar wasn't a part of that. I think maybe 2 of them. I think it was part for 1 of them, but not for 2 of them. But
Red Devil,
it's something. It's something. Yeah.
Good. And yeah, of course, it's not MSN BBC related.
Okay.
I just want to get this debate. Of course, not right now, because we need to go through some of the topics.
Yeah,
but you need to do that. You need to do this debate. Come on.
Oh, is this
the amount of abuse I get from this is absolutely disgraceful. Rashford and Mbappe need to have a debate, and I will be a part of that debate. And mark my words, you do that debate.
I won't be a part of that debate. That's a really quick one for me. Anyway,
Mbappe's better. Debate over.
This nonsense about the so-called prodigy needs to stop, because the king of Manchester is way better than the prodigy. Easy. And if you don't think that, you're smoking something, man. You're smoking something.
Okay.
Because Rashford is better.
They play 2 different positions. One plays off the left and one plays striker. Two different
Mbappe
players.
doesn't play striker. Mbappe doesn't play striker.
Oh, okay.
Most of the time he does.
Okay, we will.
What's this nonsense? Mbappe does not play
we will
striker.
park this. We'll park this discussion because this is not part of the debate. But
This nonsense needs to stop.
we will certainly come back to it. Ooh. Okay, so let's quickly just move on to the next topic, actually, and it's actually Coppa Italia, actually. So for those obviously who didn't know, Serie A was back. Serie is back in the form of Coppa Italia, and we basically had two games: Juventus versus AC Milan. Yeah, Juventus versus AC Milan, and then Inter Milan versus Napoli. Juventus going through, and Napoli going through, actually knocking out Conte's team. Hopefully, most of you sort of caught the game. I'm curious. Obviously, Ronaldo obviously back for Juventus. Seemed a bit sluggish. AC Milan are just. It's so sad to see the team that had legends that won so many Champions Leagues that were almost a force. Surely will remember. It was an achievement beating AC Milan in that 2005 Champions League.
Yeah.
To see where they are now, it's almost embarrassing. But I'll give it to the panel. Start with for Tom. When we caught the Coppa Italia games, what did you think of them? And what were your thoughts? I guess let's talk about the first game, Juventus versus AC Milan.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
It reminded me why I don't watch the Serie. Like, I know it's just a Coppa Italia, and they're a bit rusty and stuff, but it's so boring. If I'm honest, obviously, team is very defensively minded. I've enjoyed when I've watched Italian teams in the Champions League and things like that, because they're facing different opposition. But Serie A in general is quite a defensive league, and it's a little bit boring. Like Juventus game was, man. I mean, I'm glad I didn't watch it. I watched the highlights, but the highlights were about a minute long anyway. Nothing happened apart from the Ronaldo penalty and a save. So I watched a little bit of the Napoli Inter. That was a little bit more exciting. Dries Mertens breaking Maradona's goal record. It was interesting. We were talking earlier, Maradona, who took Napoli to a whole nother level. They were pretty much nothing before he came. And it's kind of a shame that I know Dries Mertens is good, but they haven't really. Napoli, they should have. They bottled it. What was it last year? They were ahead of Juve at one point, and even this year, they just there's a lot of stuff happening in the club. They bottled Champions League, so yeah, it's a shame that they couldn't really progress to a high level because they made some really good signings. They got Manolis in this season, a couple other people, so it's just a shame that Napoli aren't at the top. I think Lazio have got a good chance for the title, but I don't think Napoli are anywhere near for the title. But the Coppa Italia, I won't be watching the next. I won't be watching the next part. Not for me.
Okay, fair enough. Did anyone else catch the Coppa Italia of the weekend and have some thoughts? I mean, the big highlight seems to be Ronaldo missing the penalty. I don't know why, but okay.
Can I land on this?
Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. Who's speaking?
Me.
Okay, KSI speak, and then Sean can speak. I think there's that Sean was speaking. Go on, KSI.
I think Red Devil, come on. I think all these leagues are absolutely dead now. In the cups, Italian Cup is dead. Italian League is dead. Spanish League is dead.
Right.
French League is dead.
I love it. He's coming for everybody. Go on, bro.
Is not dead. Championship is not dead. Champions League is not dead.
What about Bundesliga?
Bundesliga, that's dead.
Oh, okay.
I think AC Milan are dead.
Arsenal become AC Milan.
I think it'll be 10 years before they're ever in the Champions League semi-final. I mean, look, I don't even know why I don't even know why the nonsense about what's his name again? Fuck, I forgot his name. Never mind, I forgot his name. I think lots of viewership of this. Whoever watches the Italian league now is dead. Okay, you're dead. So this nonsense
I
about
agree with that.
Disagree.
who watches the Italian league. Who like
Well,
the
okay, so let
Italian
me
league is
let me
dead.
get you to
No.
spoke one. Let me get Tom in actually. Tom, because I think was it Tom that you were speaking there? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have your say. Have your say, Tom.
Well, I don't know how you can judge all leagues saying that they're all dead and everything. I'd say with what Tom said earlier about the Italian league, you find a lot of more defensive managers in Italy. Like you look at, say, Allegri, you look at Ancelotti, you look at what's the other guy called? Oh God, what's the other guy called? I can't remember what his
Gattuso.
name's called anyway.
Oh, no,
Gattuso.
yeah.
Yeah, Gattuso, that's his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get a lot of defensive managers coming out of that league. But like you look at, say, the German league's a lot, high octane, high attacking football. And you look at some of the managers that they produce. Say, you look at Pep Guardiola's managed there. He's an attacking, possession-based style manager. You look at Nagelsmann. You look at Klopp. The amount of football that they play, that's not boring football. It's not like you're watching Mourinho on a Saturday at Spurs or Man United or anything. Say in the Premier League. Different managers have different play styles, and obviously different managers see different ways of winning and winning football matches and whatnot. So when you look at other leagues in particular, you look at the Spanish league, nobody was complaining about the Spanish league saying that was crap when Real Madrid were winning 3 Champions Leagues and playing some of the best attacking football in the world. Same along with Barcelona when Guardiola was there, and there was that rivalry between Guardiola and Mourinho, between being at Real Madrid and being at Barcelona. So nobody can really judge saying that leagues are that dead. I'd say some of them, yeah, because you get different types of managers, but not all leagues are dead.
Yeah. Can I step in real quick?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that point. And let's be honest, like Liverpool won the Champions League last season. We're very unlucky not to win the Premier League. And look at them now in the Premier League. They're absolutely miles ahead of everybody else. And I know they got knocked out by Atletico, but it kind of there's like a time and season for everything. So Real Madrid won it back to back to back to back, and that was their time. Now it's probably an era for another club to go and do it. Liverpool had just won it. It might be another English team this time, or a PSG. I don't think. I think the leagues have been pretty good this year. The Serie A title race is still very close. Lazio are close to Juve. Napoli are probably not. I mean, Inter as well, quite close. Bundesliga, it's still kind of on, but up until a couple of games ago, it was very, very close. Yeah, so I think I think honestly, I think the leagues have been pretty good this year. It's only the Premier League that's been a bit. I know it's been insane, but yeah, that's the only one that is definite so far, and obviously League On, but no one really cares about that. But yeah, sorry, I thought I'd just chip in there.
Sorry, one second. I've got to get everyone to have a say first. So, LB, what are your thoughts on the Coppa Italia and the weekend?
Look,
Can
you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, LB. Yeah.
Okay. Look, I think if anything, it's another sort of piece of evidence to show that there is a huge gap between the top sides, aka Juventus, and that gap between them and the rest of the teams in the Italian league. I think, look, it just goes to show as well that we might be pushing for a Super League at some stage in the near future if it sort of continues to go about in this manner. A point that you brought up, Red Devil, in how AC Milan have a club that has the heritage of AC Milan and the legends that have played for that club, and to see how that club are run today and how they continue to to lose games and to to underperform, I'd say. It's pretty sad, and look, it's they're obviously going through a fair bit as well. They're going to have to change their home stadium. I think, if I'm correct, the San Siro is going to be bulldozed down, or may have already been bulldozed down. The San Siro stadium, home ground for AC Milan. So look, as I said, if anything, I think it just continues to show the dominance that Juventus have in the Serie A, and how there's no one at this stage who look likely to challenge them for any sort of title, whether that's the Coppa Italia, whether that's Serie A, or any other trophy in the Italian league. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, LB. Thank you, appreciate it. I think before, because I know Kesa wants to respond, and then let me just bring in Shawnee, and then BD Core is also in backstage, so he'll come and have his say.
BD Core.
where we have
who's BD Core?
Oh, he's just gone left. Oh, okay, he'll be back.
If he's back, I'll leave so he can join.
Anti-Messi. No, it's fine. It's fine. Right. Okay. Shawnee, man, what are your thoughts on Coppa Italia?
Yeah, like you can't take it away from it. I mean, millions of fans from around the world tune in to watch, Coppa Italia. So it's exciting for people to watch. People from all over the world still have heroes playing in that league. Still producing incredible players as well. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of players farmed from the Italian league in general to bring to the Premier League, to bring to the Spanish league, all that kind of stuff. Coppa Italia in general, once again, it's just a really exciting cup. If I was to talk particularly about the game, I think it's unfortunate that Ronaldo missed. I don't think he does that very often. I think he's under pressure more now than what he is in his entire career, because I think he's hearing the voices ringing in the back of his head, like saying, "Oh, how many seasons has he got left? Is this his last season? Is he should he be hanging up his boots and whatnot?" And I think, just to respond just to the general conversation, exactly. I completely missed his name, but he was talking about the managers that the Bundesliga is producing, and just generally many other leagues, even the Italian leagues. Conte, okay, they didn't do, they didn't stay in the Premiership for very long, but all of these leagues are just producing not only incredible footballers, because most of the football, Cristiano Ronaldo at Man United, Messi, all of the Lewandowski, all those sort of players that we're watching week in and week out. That it's not just us that are not tuning in. It's literally hundreds, thousands, millions of people that are tuning in from all over the world to watch all of these teams play, and it's great to have that as well, and some of the leagues have been more popular in the past than others, but generally there's still like a balance there of people just tuning in to watch football. There's loads of football fans everywhere, so it's just important. Coppa Italia is exciting, as well as the Spanish Cups and everything like that. I really enjoy it. I love watching them. So because it's the difference between the league and the actual Coppa Italia is that obviously everyone goes all out because you need to win. So yeah, I'm happy to say that everything is alive and well in all of the leagues.
Fair enough. So just before we move on to the next topic, I think Kesa just wanted to retort to that. I think we're still waiting for BD Corp, who's going to come in. Kesa, are you there? Do you want to respond?
Yeah, I'll have to respond. I think what was his name again? He was talking about La Liga apparently, like other leagues not being dead. They are dead. As the great and my idol, Double H, I would say, I would induct these lot into the Brick Academy. You know what? Yeah, screw it. I'm making my own Brick Academy 2.0 version Q. So Coppa Italia, Serie A, they're inducted into my Brick Academy.
I mean, what we all need to bear in the context. I'm actually just going to quickly address actually a question I've been a bit was posted to me earlier about COVID. It's actually this but this actually addresses your point. Is that we all need to understand that all these players have not played for 3 months. It's been longer than completely longer than most pre-seasons. You know, and they haven't even really had a proper pre-season. So as a football fan, and this is even coming to when the Premier League comes back, we have to. I think there are a lot of people that have in their minds that they're going to get the same dynamism when the Premier League comes back. That's not going to be the reality. You're going to see a lot of sluggish, slow, limpish performances, and it's going to be disjointed a bit because of the 5 substitutions, because people haven't played for 3 or 4 months. And that's the reality with thing as well.
Red Devil, talking about that, I think, okay, you all might think like I'm a stupid idiot.
No one says that. No one thinks that.
I think, I think, the virus could mutate in the second wave, like winter time, and I have a feeling that football might never happen again. I think there's going to be a huge disaster because I've looked at some people's predictions. There's some doctors, right? I think they have YouTube channels, and they're saying that football might never ever happen again. Well, at least without no fans ever again, because if this mutates. So I don't know, man. I wouldn't bring football. See, personally, I would not bring football back until July. That's when I would bring football back. Then July till September, they're gonna be playing games. Champions League, Premier League, Serie A. Never mind. I'm not talking about that Brick League ever again. So I think personally, the government and everyone needs to be aware, because if this virus mutates, right, and if it gets really, really bad, I don't think football will ever come back. Hopefully, football. I think they were saying that Premier League football and that fans. I think it came up Sky Sports notification saying Premier League fans could be back by September. So there you go.
We'll see. I'll see. That's fair enough. Everyone just their opinion. I'm going to just quickly get BD Core in and just to get what his thoughts are on the cup. BD Core, can you hear me? BD Core, can you hear me?
I already did a response for this one, so something new.
What? Say that again.
I said I'll talk about something new. I already did a response for this one.
Oh, the Coppa Italia. Okay, so we want to move on to the next topic. Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, cool. Okay. So the next topic basically is just the fact that the Premier League is beginning. So obviously, guys, the Premier League is going to be back from Wednesday, with Aston Villa and Sheffield to basically start, and then obviously Arsenal and City. And I'll just quickly get the fixtures up. 2 seconds, everybody. There we go. So everyone should see what's coming up. Aston Villa, Sheffield United, City, Arsenal, Norwich, Southampton, Spurs, United, and so on. We did a bit of a talk about this in the previous podcast, but what I thought would just sort of be good was just because obviously it's coming on Wednesday, to specifically focus on the Wednesday games, and we'll probably come back and review the other games, a couple of games later. So let's go back to Man City versus. Well, first thing, let's actually talk about the nature of the Premier League. How does everyone actually personally feel about the Premier League coming back? And that's question number one. And then Man City versus Arsenal and what that basically means. So I'll start with Tom. Actually, I haven't spoken in a while. Tom, how do you feel about the Premier League being back and Man City versus Arsenal?
Well, I think that with it being back, I think it's been brought back at an all right time, because I think the only reason why the Premier League was brought back was because it would have been inconclusive, and a lot of fans and stuff over the years would have said, "Oh well, say Liverpool, they could have still been caught mathematically, but obviously in theory they've already won the league. Everybody knows that, but." Obviously, there's always going to be that ring around it, saying mathematically they could have been caught and all that stuff. And it's the same thing with how can you relegate 3 teams from the Premier League that could still mathematically get out of it? Exactly the same with how can you give the Champions League places up to teams that mathematically haven't 100% got their place, should we say? So it brings into the conversation of why, it's been brought back for a reason, just to make sure that it's 100% accurate. So there's no perceptions or anything of, oh, well, what if this, what if that? So I think it's been brought back at the right time. I'll go on to say a couple of the fixtures and stuff now. So like with the Aston Villa Sheffield United game, I think it's to be fair, I think it's a bit of an even game, because I think no team's really going to showcase. I don't think any team's going to win more by than 2 goals, to be honest, because of the fact that no, there's not been a professional football game for the last 3 months. So it's going to take a bit of a time to get obviously back into the groove of things and everything. I know teams have been playing friendlies, but friendlies don't earn you anything. This is to earn your points and earn your places to go into final competitions in, say, the FA Cup and whatnot. So there's obviously something to play for now. And so I think a lot of teams are going to obviously utilise that. And it's the same thing if you look at, say, with the transfer market and stuff, with everything that's going on, you could easily get some bargain players out there. You look at Chelsea. For me, Chelsea, I think they're playing a rate gambler, to be honest. Because Chelsea don't rely so much on TV rights, because they've got an expensive owner in Roman Abramovich who owns, let's just say, a lot of stuff, and he's this multi-billionaire. So he's got all this money, he's got war chests hidden of just cash. And when you look at, they already brought in Ziyech. You already look at Chelsea's attack. I thought they already had a good attack in such as Abraham and Hudson-Odoi. When you look at them for the future, I thought it was very good players. And you look at, say, Billy Gilmore in midfield, who's a future player as well. But you look at how they're spending money now. They've gone out there and bought Timo Werner. So that's an experienced striker to help Abraham further on his career, should we say? Exactly the same with Hakim Ziyech to help Hudson-Odoi. And then they're getting linked with players such as like Havertz and everything. And they're getting these players for next to nothing. You look at Timo Werner. RB Leipzig would have wanted probably an offer of more than 70 million for him if it was just a bid, but because he had such a low release clause, I'm surprised nobody bought him out in the first place. I'm surprised Liverpool didn't buy him out, to be honest. And you look at it and think teams can utilise this situation in a positive way. It's not a good thing. People's dying and everything. Obviously, there'll be memorials and stuff for that future along in the years and stuff. But right now, I think it's the perfect time for teams to utilise, to take the positives out of a bad situation, so we say. If you want to go out there and get a decent team and build up a team for next year to go and challenge for the title, by all means, any team can go and do that. I can't see a lot of teams spending a lot of money, to be honest, if they haven't got expensive owners. Like, you look at Manchester City, they have expensive owners, but with the ban that's hanging over them, they might not even be able to attract these players. But you've got a major coach like Pep Guardiola, anything can happen. And it's the same thing with Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool might not have bucket loads of money to spend because they might earn a lot of money from just match day tickets and stuff. So, but when you've got a manager like Jurgen Klopp, anything's possible. You probably could attract Lionel Messi if he wanted to, because he's that high ranking of a manager. And if you've got a club such as, just going to throw some clubs out there, say Barcelona and Juventus, and let's even throw AC Milan out there, with the amount of money they'll accumulated over the years, they could easily go out there and buy some amazing players to help them in their leagues. And when you look at teams need money, it's in a sense teams need money because of the amount of money they've lost. So you look at the lower clubs, should we say, like let's say Norwich or Aston Villa, who have major players, Pukki, Cantwell, Grealish, McGinn, all these players who could easily be sold for at least over 50 million, in a sense, if you're looking at it in the daily market. So you can easily go out there and get a bargain for a player, and you can easily build a team, and you can take the positives out of a negative situation, in a sense. But I think overall, it's been brought back at the right time.
Okay.
It just depends on whether we'll have an extended, if it'll be, I think we'll get to the end of the season and everything, and then there'll obviously be a government review on sports and everything, like when the F1 season finishes, if that's when that would carry on and when there'll be another date, because obviously we don't know what's going on in the world, if there's going to be a second wave, a third wave, fourth or fifth wave. It's unpredictable at the moment. All
Okay.
it can be is just prediction. It's not 100% bang on. But in terms of the Premier League coming back, I think because other leagues have made decisions, like French leagues made decisions, and the Bundesliga's obviously been brought back, but the French league hasn't. There'll be pros and there'll be different opinions in different governments and countries. But for England as a whole, I think it's been one of the most successful leagues over the years for players, trophies, and everything. And I think they just wanted to showcase that we decided to go with this opinion and this approach, and this has worked or it hasn't worked. So it's just going to be a matter of time, and that's all that we can really hope for, is just look for the future, really.
Okay.
So there you go.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, some very, very thorough, and I really appreciate that. And shout out to Rasmus as well. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Always a pleasure to see you as part of the hangout. Really, you've been there since the beginning, so thank you so much for getting involved, joining us on Twitch. So Shawnee, I think it's Shawnee. How do you feel about the Premier League being coming back, and then a bit about Aston Villa, Sheffield, and City, Arsenal on the Wednesday coming up?
Yep. Yeah, I agree with Tom there. Once again, I spoke about it at the beginning of the podcast, which is that we do have to be careful. We don't want the second wave to happen. Generally, I think the way we go about our, not just our football, but just our day-to-day life, and quite possibly like our jobs, is going to be different from here on outwards. Because at the end of the day, fair enough, second waves and mutations and all that sort of stuff. I mean, generally a virus is always mutating anyway, which is so difficult. This one particularly was so difficult to get a vaccine for. All that in consideration, we've got to make sure that the Premier League is coming back at the right time. And like I say, there's positive signs in Bundesliga, positive signs in Spain, La Liga. There's been 0 cases of any infection or anything like that in any of those leagues. The German league's been back now for 2-3 weeks now, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I'd imagine if there was some sort of spread happening because as a result of the football, that would have definitely been documented immediately, and things might have changed and the season might have been cancelled for good. So yeah, definitely have to be careful going forward. And generally, the way things are going to work in the world now, I think a lot of people have realised that they need to take different steps towards world issues, because really we want to keep it at most an epidemic. This one was a special case. How it became from an epidemic to a pandemic in such a short space of time was really, really unbelievable. I don't think anybody could have anticipated that. Only Hollywood movies, it's the first time that they got something right. But so excited about the Premier League coming back, definitely, and providing that we're doing the same thing that all the other countries have done. There's been no spread. Everything's been safe. Once again, I think the reason why they didn't just cancel the season was because they wanted to see what it looks like next season. And it's just going to be great to see everybody back in action in the Premier League. I'm obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I'm absolutely over the moon, but safety always comes first. In terms of Villa, was it Man City, Arsenal, and Villa Sheffield?
So Villa Sheffield United, and then City and Man City Arsenal. Just thoughts. Yeah,
probably just City Arsenal. I didn't even know Villa and Sheffield were playing. So City Arsenal, once again, Arsenal could do Liverpool a huge favour here. Really excited about it. Hopefully be able to watch it with Josh or Josh and you somewhere if possible. Yeah, great. I think Man City was one of the teams that I said their response could be not as good. They're used to having the fans behind them, and they're playing. Are they playing at home? Yeah, they're playing at home.
Villa, yes, they're playing at home.
It's going to be strange turning up with nobody there, and their first game being Arsenal. They could use that. I mean, Arteta really needs to get into his players' heads and just like go, listen. They've never experienced this before. We haven't either, but it's their home ground. It's their home turf, and it's a shell.
No. They experience it every week. They have no fans. Anyway, I'm out.
Wait, were you talking about Arsenal or City?
City.
Oh, okay. Because you could have
our stadium is full. We don't have plastic fans.
Yeah. Well, it's true, but most of the time, we hear booing and not cheering. Well, hopefully that will change.
At least they're consistent.
Emery out.
Consistently booing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great.
Cool. Okay. Just quickly getting able to speak, so because I said there's about I think 7 people in here, so just going around. So before I go to KSI, I think LB, what are your thoughts? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's really good to know that the Premier League will be starting shortly. I mean, I'd say arguably the best league in the world, and not just for the teams in the Premier League, but for football fans in general. I think it'll be good to have the Premier League back. As for Man City versus Arsenal, I think I mentioned during our last podcast, or a couple of weeks ago at least, that Arsenal have a lot to play for, in the sense that they're obviously wanting to push for a top 4 spot, and I'm not sure whether they are mathematically whether they can or not. I might be wrong, but let's just presume that they can. I think they'll still have a lot to play for, whereas Man City, obviously knowing the possibility of not being able to play in next season's Champions League, and whether or not that will sort of play on their mind, and they'll also be fully aware of how they can't win the Premier League this season because of how Liverpool are miles ahead. So I think it plays in Arsenal's favour in that sense. However, I still think Man City should be able to win. I think it'll be a 2-1 victory to Man City. But I think all the pressure will be on them.
Fair enough. Thanks, LB. Really appreciate the input there. BD Core. What are your thoughts on the Premier League coming back and the fixtures?
Sorry, what was the second question?
So the second question is, the first one, obviously Premier League coming back, how you feel, and then the second question is the fixtures, specifically Villa, Sheffield, and City, Arsenal, because that's basically going to be the start of it on Wednesday.
City Arsenal is irrelevant. We all know it's irrelevant. I mean,
irrelevant.
How?
I mean, what are you really gonna get from City Arsenal? You're just two clubs who are just fighting for nothing really. They're not gonna win the title. Arsenal's not gonna win the title. City's not gonna win the title. It's just a waste of time.
Arsenal want to get top 4 though, surely. So Arsenal want to get top 4. So they obviously have impetus because they want to get into the Champions League. So they have impetus to beat. I certainly don't agree with you on City. Maybe they don't have much to play for because they probably think that they can't chase Liverpool. But Arsenal want to fight for top 4, don't they? So surely that's something that they want to fight for.
Oh no! I'm saying I look at it in terms of Champions League. I'm all about Champions League.
Okay.
I think personally, and that's why we call it the BD Core movement. Is we all look at it in terms of Champions League. So if you don't
Okay.
have like a Champions League and you have only zero, I can't really say anything about you, really. I think the best match for me personally and the best team to watch in Wednesday is Austin Villa. Coming from a Champions League standpoint, I think it's Austin Villa. I think that's the best match to
So I said
watch
again,
aside
what match?
Austin
Villa,
Villa.
Aston Villa versus Sheffield. Okay.
Yeah, because Villa has a CL. Villa has a
Right.
CL, and if anyone wants to argue with me about this, well, go to UEFA.com, check the history, and check most titles, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I think Villa can win. I think Villa can win, and I think they might have the chance of winning against Sheffield United.
So wait, so
City and
Vidico,
Arsenal is irrelevant.
are you basically saying City Arsenal are relevant teams because they don't have a Champions League? Is that basically your argument?
From where I come from Champions League land. I
Right.
live in
Okay.
Champions League.
Right.
I
This
live
guy
in
didn't even
Champions
answer the
League.
question, fam.
This I answered the question. I live in Champions League land, and I
Okay.
look at
Dave,
Champions League land. So for me
Okay.
personally,
are you a Real Madrid
I look.
fan?
Am I a Real
Okay.
Madrid fan?
Uh-huh.
Can wait? Say it again. I can't hear you guys. Sorry, I can't
Are
hear you.
you a Real Madrid fan?
No, no, I'm a Dortmund fan. I have one UCL though, so
Okay,
that's what
no
matters.
worries.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Okay. So just quickly, just sort of moving on. So
Oh,
K-side,
you
what's your
want? Okay.
oh, sorry. Yeah, do you have a final thought, BD call? Sorry.
Did you talk about the Premier League? You said the Premier League return, right? What are
Oh,
my
sorry. Yeah,
thoughts on it?
yeah. Your thoughts on that comeback. Sorry, I forgot. Sorry.
Um, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I think don't get me wrong, as much as I like Bundesliga, I still feel like Premier League is much more superior than every other league. Every other league is just I don't know. I just think for me La Liga is a farmers league. Serie A is a good league, but again, they're not
Not my taste.
Syria okay can compete with Premier League in terms of like okay Champions League, but they're not in that kind of bracket. You know what I'm trying to say? They don't have a six-time UCL winner. That's the problem. Um Legon, they have one Champions League and it's really boring. You know, I'm just so happy it's back because I think like we've really needed something like this for about 4 months now, you know. It's sad. It's sad how Premier League, you know, wait, what did he say? Oh no, because I'm saying this to be honest. I mean, I think I'm just so happy Premier League is back. All the leagues, they just I'm sorry, but I feel like we've all failed. Yeah, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, we've all failed. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Fair enough.
Bidicor,
Oh, LB,
Yeah.
you saying something?
Bit, I just got a question for Bidicor. Because you're a Dortmund fan, how do you sort of see the Bundesliga
So what did you say? Can you say it again?
with the Bundesliga? Because you're a Dortmund fan, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you view the Bundesliga?
I just I'm not gonna lie. I think the game against Bayern we could have won. I think we could have won, but again, it comes down to me seeing it as no team really can beat Bayern Munich. They're just too good. You know what I'm trying to say? They're just way
Hmm.
too good, and I just feel like we've just had time and time again where we always think, oh my goodness, like for example, this weekend Mönchengladbach scored one against Bayern. We all thought Bayern was gonna lose. Next thing you know, Bayern just scores them 2-1. And I'm not gonna lie, but I think Bayern's gonna win the CL, guys. I think Bayern's gonna win the CL. I think they look like the more ready team than a lot of the other teams. But I think it's gonna be Bayern this season, of course. Yeah. So yeah, it's sad, but yeah, man, it's Bundesliga, and as much as I love the league, I don't think it'll ever compare to what Premier League is. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I get you. The devil.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Sorry, I'm just going to do a quick switch around. So I was on mute again. K-side, just quick thoughts on, because we've still got a few things to talk about, so I'm actually going to have to make this quick now. So just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Premier League back, and then these results. We need to be quick. So, but go for it.
Man, you woke me up from my sleep. God damn it, man. It was a good sleep.
Right, okay, go for it.
I'll tell you the dream. The Rash, the GOAT. I had a dream about him. Yeah, man. It was a great dream.
What's your thoughts on the Premier League coming back, K-side? What's your thoughts on the Premier League coming back? Come on, let's stick to topic. Go on.
Wednesday night's gonna be an absolute amazing night. We got Champions League versus relegation battle, and we've got a lubrication at Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. We're gonna see a lubrication, and we're going to see a funeral of Arsenal. We're gonna see Arsenal, and we're gonna see Arsenal and AFTV crumble. We're gonna see so many heads on the floor. We're gonna see David Luiz crying like Brazil, Germany 7-1. It's gonna be an amazing lubrication, man. I can't wait until Arsenal get absolutely lubricated, man. You know, I don't even. If there is a forfeit rule for this game, I think Arsenal should take it, because a team that loses to Brentford shouldn't even be in this conversation. So, yeah.
Come on now. All this is just pre-season stuff like that, and they've not been playing football games.
Let me learn. And of course, Friday night we're gonna see the GOAT Rash on the pitch. We're gonna see him absolutely tear Aurier apart, and we're gonna see Rash produce a masterclass once again. We're gonna see Rash destroy Tottenham Hotspur. We're gonna see Rash sit down, have hope, and his agenda against Rash. He is not replying. Have Hope's not replying to me because he knows Rash is the GOAT.
I think you got to change your mentor.
Yeah.
Hey, stop this nonsense, Rash. Rash will prove to every single one why he will be the greatest of all time. Rash is so good, and Rash will prove it. Sunday we got a good game between Liverpool and Everton. I'd be more interested if Arsenal actually bet Man City, because I wanna. Because
what about Sheffield United versus Villa? Because the two games I specifically want to focus on was City, Arsenal, and Aston Villa.
People, put respect on Sheffield United versus Aston Villa. Personally, I think Aston Villa will win the game. That's what my opinion is. So yeah, but I think looking at this, the Premier League's back. We finally get to see some lubrications like Wednesday night, and we get to see a Rash lubrication on Friday night, and then we get to see on Saturday Brighton beat Arsenal again. So it's gonna be a great weekend of football, and there's gonna be a great weekend on Saturday morning, waking up and finally realizing that Rash has produced an absolute masterclass against Spurs the previous evening. It's gonna be an absolute beautiful Saturday morning when I wake up.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so just quickly, just because I think the last person of just a TBF that's just come on, TBF, if you can hear me, just your quick thoughts on the Premier League coming back, and then you wanted to do a quick summary about the Liga. So, we'll come out because I know obviously you're a Real Madrid fan, in Real Madrid channel, so I think it'd be good to hear what your thoughts on the Liga as well. But could you just address those two things, your thoughts on the Premier League coming back, and then just do your La Liga summary?
Okay. First off, you can hear me, right?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think it's like at the start when Bundesliga started, I was kind of like fighting this, this whole thing of football coming back. I was not really, I was not really optimistic about it. I was kind of skeptical about football returning, but I guess I have no specific thoughts about the Premier League in particular returning back. I just say that it was actually bound to happen since the La Liga returned. and obviously Italian football in the form of the Coppa Italia also returned, and obviously the Bundesliga returned as well. So I guess the Premier League was also bound to return, since the situation in the UK has kind of improved from what it was like a month ago or something. So I'd say that, yeah, I mean, it's a good it's a good thing to start back the Premier League as well, and yeah, so we have to like see what will happen from now on.
Okay, fair enough. And you want to sort of a quick talk about like Liga sort of summary, like what your thoughts were. And I know you obviously have a Real Madrid channel, so obviously head over to his channel and subscribe.
Thank you.
In the description, actually. Sorry, in the
Okay.
comments. So what's your thoughts about the Liga? What's your summary of just you got the floor, go for it.
Yeah, okay. I'd say, obviously I'm going to talk about what matters the most at the moment, when I'm going to address the elephant in the room, and which is, of course, the title race. And it's pretty much neck to neck here in the La Liga, and I think it's been the most competitive in the past 3 years, and that's kind of embarrassing on Real Madrid, by the way. But anyway, and but yeah, this year it seems kind of entertaining, because both teams have been trash. Real Madrid has been trash as well. Barcelona has been trash as well this season. I mean, both have had their own issues, I would say. But yeah, talking about the latest match day, I would say that both coming to Barcelona initially, it was a Barcelona game, and boy, like dude, literally, man, I've said this before. I mean, not here, or not on your podcast, but obviously I've said this before to a lot of other people, that Messi is literally the best, obviously the best league game player I've seen. Like, say whatever you want about his international form or his European form, and lack of clinicality during knockout stages or whatnot, but this guy can literally play for any team and still manage to get them over the line, man. This guy is that talented, and that's literally because of how the Barcelona playing style is right now built. Literally, Messi is just carrying them. Like, literally 4 goals were scored against Mallorca, and this dude gave 2 assists and scored a goal himself in those 4 goals. Like, I don't know, it's just Messi doing Messi. But again, Barcelona gets way too much carried, man, by this guy. So I'm not saying, I mean, obviously it's a bad thing. I mean, it's not really self-sustainable, to be honest. I don't know what will happen to them when he actually retires. But if you look at the positive aspect of it, then whoa, then it literally, Messi is like the best league game player I've seen, man. Like, all time. This is not only this season. Man does it every season. I don't know how he manages to find the net every time, man, in the league, and it's kind of annoying, to be honest. But obviously you have to appreciate the genius that he is. So I guess like the Barcelona game was probably a basic Barcelona game in the league. It's just another day in the office, if that makes sense. And coming to Real Madrid, I feel like Real Madrid started strong as well. They came back quite strong from the whole quarantine phase or whatnot, and I think the first half. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get a bit deep into this because it's a Real Madrid game, so I can give a better insight. To be honest, I feel like with
a few minutes though, because we just have one last topic to go into.
Okay. I'll try to get done real quick. So basically, against Eibar, I mean, it was already so much anticipated that it was so much anticipated that Eibar was going to come in with the high press. We saw that in the last game away from home as well. So when we saw Eibar come in with the very high press again, which was not really unexpected, it was really good this time that Benzema is a kind of guy that drops deep. He's not really a kind of guy who poaches up front. He drops deep, functions as a false nine, and I think that came in really handy this time. I mean, this is again, this is a team that plays with a higher defensive line, so that's why it kind of like facilitated and also helped us where we wanted to go to. So that's how we were able to exploit Eibar, because I think their press was quite ineffective, but it was really ineffective, their press. But I think that's where we were able to exploit them. The first goal was like fine. I mean, Toni Kroos scored an amazing goal, but still it was half and half. Real Madrid weren't really posing a threat. Eibar wasn't as well. But after the second goal, the first half was literally owned by Real Madrid. Now, where it got really interesting was people saying that Real Madrid really underperformed in the second half, which is of course true. There is no doubt about that. It's obviously the true. But what I would say is, with the second half, I feel like Zidane was being so experimental in his approach. I feel like he was being very experimental because he fielded Forlan Mendy at the right back position, made bizarre changes. I never thought in a million years that Bale would even step foot on the pitch, but apparently he did because he was trying to be experimental. He was trying to see what options would work and obviously what wouldn't. I feel like with subbing out Danny Carvajal for Forlan Mendy could have been self-suicide if it was not a 3-0 lead and it was something else. But obviously being experimental is quite important as well. And I feel I'm actually happy, to be honest. Although it was not a good performance in the second half, I was really happy that Zidane was trying out different options because we have to go 10 more games now, and like Lucas Vasquez said, we have to play 10 more finals. So situations are going to get built up in ways that probably won't predict. So we have to try different options, and that's what exactly Zinedine Zidane did. Yeah, we got ourselves on the back foot quite often, but I'm glad that we didn't succumb too much to Eibar's improvement in the second half. I would say that after the whole match on the whole picture, I would say that Sergio Ramos and Toni Kroos were standout performers. They played really well. Especially, I feel like Sergio Ramos, he really played well. And obviously talking about bizarre substitutions, like Sergio Ramos was having such a good game, and you saw Eder Militao come in. So like I said again, Zinedine Zidane was being too experimental. It could have backfired, but I'm happy that he was trying out different options, and he was not afraid to take risks because obviously where Real Madrid stands right now, risks are inevitable, and if you're going for the title, then may as well go all the way. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that, TBF. So appreciate your further insight into the Liga as well. So we covered some of this at the beginning thing, but I think it was good that you gave us some of where Real Madrid are. So, and hopefully we can, it'd be a question of basically just watching this space, I think. So let me just go into the last topic. And by the way, guys, just keep your questions coming. If you have any specific questions for just all the group to address or for the panel, a specific question for the panel, please let us know. Remember, obviously, to like the vid, share the vid as well, and help Old Man G out. So this is actually just a question.
Sorry,
LB, go on. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Red Devil. I just got to head off to work, but thanks for having me on this morning's or this evening's studio podcast, guys.
Sorry about that. We won't forget that we overrun all the time. Sorry, LB. You take care of yourself, buddy.
Take care, guys. Thanks for having us. See you next week.
Take care, buddy. Yeah. See you next week, man. All right. So the next, thanks, LB. So the next topic basically was last sort of two, but and I want this to be really quick. I want this to be really, really quick. I want to go around the panel, and I want you to tell me the team, okay, who you think is going to win the Champions. I don't need to talk about any other team. Why this isn't going to. Why this isn't going to. I want you to tell me which team you think currently is going to win the Champions League and why, and ideally keep it less to 2 minutes. And then everyone in the comments as well, if you want to put your teams in as well, let me know. I think Adaj Raj says, will Liverpool play the same like before? Will there be some difference as the Premier League returns? I'll ask that question to Sean as soon as we address this Champions League a topic, and let me know your picks in the comments as well. So let me just go to Sean. So I'll go to Sean so that Sean can address that question and then give me his pick. So Sean, as a Liverpool fan, can you just address this question? And then what's your pick to win the Champions League? Liverpool no longer in the Champions League now.
Pick the what? Sorry.
So who do you think will win the The first question is this question, if you can see on the screen, which is, will Liverpool play the same like they were before, or any difference when the Premier League returns? And then to you specifically, who do you think will win the Champions League?
Okay, so I think like someone like Munich could go on to win it. I think also there'll be the usual suspects in it as well. Obviously, Liverpool won't have that pleasure. And what was the club question? Sorry.
The club question, so it's on the screen here. So it's, will Liverpool play the same like before, or will there be some difference as the Premier League returns?
Yeah, I'd imagine there'd be some differences. Yeah, I'd imagine there'd be like a little bit of a difference. I mean, it all depends on the response. Generally, I think Bayern Munich responded in a positive way. Dortmund as well responded in a positive way. So I'm hoping that Liverpool will do the same, but to play the same as they did before all of this happened, probably not. I would like to say that that yes to that and that they would, but it's probably not realistic. So I'd say that they'll still have a high intensity, and you'll still see a Liverpool team that are obviously playing for the cup now, that we're playing for the Premier League title, and I think Klopp will do a really good job of getting them all rallied up. But I think that you'll notice a difference in the performances from every team. By the way, not just me. It'll be from everybody.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Let me just get Kasai because he says that he needs to head off as well. So Kasai, who do you think is going to win the Champions League?
Thank you. I can't really give you that, but I can give you my Champions League final.
Okay,
because
fine.
I need to preview that very soon as well. After the Champions League final discussion, I need to tell you something. So and then I'll head off.
Okay. So what specific is concept of this question? What's your Champions League final then? Finalists who are in the Champions then?
Okay, I'll give you my 3 candidates and then I'll pick one. So my 3 candidates, I mean 4. The semi-finals, I think, will be Manchester City will be in it. I think Bayern Munich will be in it. I think Barcelona will be in it, and I also think this might end the internet. I think Atalanta will be in the Champions League semi-final as well.
Okay, dark horse. Okay.
My final is going to be Atalanta versus Barcelona. That's my Champions League final.
Okay, that's interesting.
The boys from Italy are going all the way, and I think Barcelona will win the final. Oh shit!
Ooh, language. Come on, mate. Come on. Go on.
Okay, man. Sorry. But yeah, that's my say. But Red Devil, what days are you free? Because we need to do this football battles, man. We need to do the Rash versus the Mbappe. We need to do it.
We will definitely. I will my list of things that we need to do. So, and I will definitely message you regarding it. So we're gonna get on with this. You take care of yourself.
I need to say some things to everyone. Thank you for having me all on. Of course, my idol, Have Hope, if you're watching, I love you, bro. And hopefully we can be in a hangout one day because it's gonna be crazy. Thank you all in the chat. Thank you to thank you to TBF for having your opinion, having your say for La Liga because you know way more than me. Thank you for LB if you're watching this after. Average Joe, thanks, bro. Anyway, thank you all for having me on, and I'll hopefully be on next week when Rash absolutely sits everyone down, bro. Yeah, it's your boy Q signing off. Have a good day. Bye.
Take care of yourself, buddy. Oh my goodness. Anyway, okay, no, bless him. Fair enough. Tom, Tom, what's your thoughts on who's going to win the Champions League?
Oh, well, I mean, if we look at it, say from this year, last year, a lot of the bigger teams went out. Obviously, a lot. Like from the round of 16 and stuff went out. But if I had to pick out a star team, I've got to say, I think the way Atletico Madrid set up and the way that they have played, not just in La Liga, but in just specific Champions League. Simeone, yeah, he is a defensive-minded manager, but he's very good at it and he's very experienced in that way of football. It's obviously helped him win things and helped him, develop a good team because they've got star players there. You look at the players they brought, like when he had Griezmann there, he's got, Felix, he's got, all these young, amazing players, Niguez. And I think that they can do it because obviously a couple of years ago we got to the final against Real Madrid and it didn't exactly turn out the way that they hoped it would and everything. But I think with the way that he just sets up the teams, and he's a bit, I don't know, he's a bit like Klopp. He always likes to rally his players up and everything for just these big occasions, these big nights. And I think with him being such a manager that he is, I think just be able to produce something just special out of nothing really. So yeah, I'll throw my prediction in. I'm going to say Atletico Madrid.
Fair enough. I don't think that is a bad shout at all. I think, so, especially with what they knocked out the previous champions. So no, not at all. Before I go to BD Core, in fact, actually, I'll go to BD Core and I'll go to Josh. Actually, BD Core, who do you think is going to win the Champions League? Oh, sorry, that's my bad. Go on, BD Core. Who do you think is going to win the Champions League?
That United fan that says Rashford is gonna set everybody down. He reminds me of one of my subscribers. He's a Chelsea fan. He's always about he's always about Chelsea for some reason, man. But I like the guy's enthusiasm. Okay. Who wins the Champions League? That's the question.
That's the champion. Who do you think is going to win the Champions League? Yeah.
That's a good question.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I would say Bayern.
Okay.
I would say Bayern. I don't think Atletico. I mean, okay, yeah, Atletico get to the. It will be Atletico and Bayern in the finals.
Atletico. Right. Okay. So you don't think Barcelona?
No. There's just too much internal conflict going on inside the club.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be Bayern and Atletico.
Okay.
Bayern Atletico. When it's Bayern Atletico, it will also be. It could be Leipzig versus Atlanta. That's the second pick for me. But I think it's going to be Bayern who wins this Champions League. I'm telling you, man, these Bayern guys look really good. They look really good. And
They do look good. I agree.
yeah, I really I don't know how, because the thing about it is against Dortmund, right? I actually thought we were better than them. We were better. First half, second half, we were better than them. But the problem here is you can't cut through that back line. It's just too hard. It's too difficult. So, and Davies, okay, yes, he does get exposed, but he has cover. That's the problem. Even when he gets exposed, he has cover. So it's like, I think Bayern has enough to actually win the CL this season. Like, I know, like, okay, yes, they went through a lot this season. They sacked Kovac and so forth. Flick is a really good manager, and I think Flick is gonna do. I'm sure. I think he's one of the most underrated managers in the Champions League right now, alongside with Diego Simeone. I think it's gonna be Atletico Bayern. I'm gonna say Bayern 3-0. Bayern 3-0 to Atletico. I'm sorry, I don't see Atletico beating Bayern if they get to the final. I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah. I mean, I don't see
Okay.
Atletico. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're okay. Okay. No, fair enough. Thanks, BD Core. I think that's fair enough, actually, and I don't think you can write Bayern off at all because they've gotten back. They've gone back. They've probably played a lot. Been playing a lot longer compared to all the other sort of teams, and they have the quality. So I definitely think that Bayern are a fairly good shout. And Atletico Madrid, well, no issues there. Josh, who do you think is going to win the Champions League?
Can I say
Yeah,
one thing? Can I also say
okay,
one
never
thing?
mind.
Hello? Sorry,
Yep.
Josh,
Okay.
my bad. Let me also say one thing. I
Okay.
think the thing about Real Madrid is it's not me trying to downgrade Real Madrid, but I'm looking at
Mhm.
Real Madrid, right? And I think the major problem is there is not a known world-class superstar in that team. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like you
Mhm.
see Hazard. Yes, Hazard is a good player, don't get me wrong. But they really need a Mbappe. They need a goal scorer, and they just don't have that goal scorer who can put it in the back of the net. You look at Juventus, Cristiano's good.
Mhm.
Cristiano is good, don't get me wrong, but the problem is Bonucci's a poor man's center back. So Chesney, you can't trust in him for a Champions League daylight. And Desiglio is horrible. He is just so horrible. So I think I actually can see it's not me trying to be mean. I can see
Mhm.
Barcelona, Juventus, and Real Madrid also getting knocked out. I can
Okay.
see three of these teams getting knocked out actually because they it's not that Real Madrid is not good. They just need a goal scorer. That's the problem. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks. Insight, BD Core. Josh, who do you think is going to win the Champions League?
See you guys later.
Take
So
care,
yeah,
BD Core, man.
I agree with I agree with Vidico. I think Bayern's going to win it as well. For me, they just look the best in the so far.
Mhm.
I think they won every game, I believe, or at least didn't lose in the group stages. And Lewandowski is probably in the form of his life. And if there's any time for them to win the Champions League, it'll be now because Lewandowski's getting a little bit on. He's not, completely getting really old, but it's probably the best time for him. He's in his like prime right now. I would say. I don't think he's gonna have a better season than he's having right now.
Mhm.
The way they just took apart Chelsea, and I mean Chelsea were actually decent. They should have probably beat Ajax. Had some a relatively tough group, and Bayern Munich put what 3 or 4 past them. So yeah, for me it's Bayern. I think it could be potentially Bayern Juve final, but I'm not sure. But yeah, Bayern for me going to win it.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Josh. Okay, so just as we're about to wrap up, so just for those who are still watching, and thank you so much for everyone who's watching. So, like I said, please leave a like, leave a share, a comment. Really, really appreciate it. It helps with the channel. Our last sort of mini topic is going to basically just go through because the Premier League is coming back. Fantasy football picks now. Certainly, Josh and Sean, who've been here since the beginning, will know that when we did these podcasts when the Premier League was on, we would often suggest a fantasy football player to sort of pick to have in your team if you play fantasy football. So while I sort of get that set up, if everyone who's listening, if you have a specific question that you want the panel or any individual member of the panel to address, if you post them now, and then we'll basically just sort of go around everyone regarding the fantasy football picks. So we'll go around with fantasy football picks. Get your questions in the comments, and we'll address them. So I'll start with Sean actually. Fantasy football picks. Fantasy football picks. Fantasy football's back. Wild cards to everybody. So there's a limited transfers to everybody up until till Wednesday. Who do you think should definitely be in your team? You have to pick one player. Well, no, pick three actually. You pick three. You got three. Pick three.
Your mic's muted, Sean, if you're speaking. Okay.
Who?
I think is Sean still there?
Yeah,
Yeah, there
Sean,
we are,
sorry.
yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, that's my bad. Go on. Yeah.
It's all good, no worries. Yes, I chuck a whole bunch of Liverpool players in there. Obviously, they're the ones that are going to be going hardest for it. We're the ones that want to be scoring all the goals, setting ourselves up defensively. And yeah, so Salah would be a good one, I think. I think he's probably been one of our most consistent ones, as well as Mane. Bobby, before he went on, I mean, you never know. This might have done him some good. So yeah, I think just any of those sort of usual suspects. They're the ones that kind of would do a really good job. I mean, before we went off, Wolves are still pushing as well. So like Jimenez was doing great. I mean, assists and goals. Almost every week he was getting at least one. So I'd go Salah, Mane, and Jimenez.
Okay, fair enough. It should also be noted that there is a double game week this week. And the teams at the double game week are Arsenal, City, Villa, and Sheffield United. So basically, all the teams that are playing on Wednesday. So that's where my input is going to be coming from. Josh, what would you be your fantasy football picks?
Yeah, like you said, double game week. I didn't actually know that. So I mean, there's a lot of people saying City are going to batter Arsenal in the comment section. So why don't you be brave and put a whole bunch of City players in your team, if that is the case? But it's worth putting those City and Arsenal players for the double game week. You know, a personal favorite pick of mine is Aubameyang. It seems anytime like I triple captain him, he does nothing. But when I just leave him by himself, he gets a brace or something like that. So Aubameyang's always a sure one for me. He's a bit expensive, but he's definitely worth it in my opinion. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I actually need to re-download the app, so I might do that now.
Moving on to Tom, what are your thoughts? Fantasy football picks, key ones.
Well, I could probably name 3, and I'm not just going to be biased because of the team that I support, which is Man United. Support from being like a really young player. I'll put one name out there, and I think it's been really an unsung hero in many senses. I'd put Aaron Wan-Bissaka in there. I know a lot, it's obviously the debate between Trent and Wan-Bissaka, who do you choose and stuff. I think Wan-Bissaka is arguably, I think Jamie Carragher came out on Sky Sports a couple of months ago and stated quite clearly to the world and everything that Aaron Wan-Bissaka, in those one-on-one situations against world-class players such as Mane, such as Sterling, these world superstars in a sense, and he never can't hardly get past him. I think on about 2 occasions Mane got past him when Liverpool faced him at when Liverpool obviously faced Man United at Anfield. But in a sense, Sterling it's his like demon in a sense. He just can't seem to beat him, and I don't see why he wouldn't go in my team. To be honest, two others I'd put. There's a bit of another unsung hero out there. I put Jack Grealish in my team. I think being one of the creative midfield, I think he's on the verge of breaking into the England team. There's obviously stuff with Maddison and Leicester and everything. I think being at a team like Aston Villa, which is fighting to just stay up in the league, and some of the things that he's done over the year, obviously for Aston Villa, I think it's been massively impressive. He's taken a struggling team and obviously leading them into some major games, and they've got major results out of it. Obviously drawing with Man United at Old Trafford, and with like games when they played against City and Liverpool, they've had a good go. Can't really say they haven't had a good smack at them or anything. And then a third one I'd probably put in there is I put Dean Henderson in. A lot of people would go for the major goalkeeper Alisson and Edison and stuff, but obviously they're going to be quite a bit of money. But if you want to try and save a bit, I'd go for Dean Henderson, to be honest. I think he's definitely one for the future in terms of English football. I think he's probably getting there to knocking Pickford out of the England #1 spot. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out on Sky Sports and said, he's obviously a future United #1, and obviously he's got to be put up there for the England role as well. We've not got, and Pickford's done well obviously at the World Cup and everything, but there's just parts of his game that people don't seem to like. But I think Henderson ticks a lot of boxes of a modern day goalkeeper. You know, it's more about playing out from the back and, you know, being good in aerial duels when you've got tall defenders such as Van Dijk, you know, breathing down your neck and stuff. And he's obviously shown that throughout the season. So I think that he should have a good mention. I think he'll go straight into my team. So yeah, if I had to choose 3 picks, it'd be them 3.
Okay, fair enough. So I'll go with my picks, and there's a few questions coming, and then we'll wrap up. So we've been going for quite some time now. But just because there's been so many people want to have their say, and that's good. So yeah. So I've just literally just got back into fans because I just realized that there is a double game. So my thing is based on the fact that there is a double game week with those teams, and that obviously you guys do have unlimited transfers up until the point. So my 3 picks will come from 3 different teams. I think the first thing I'd probably put if you don't have him already, Henderson. If not, then Loudstrom. So that's your Sheffield United player piece to come in. I've one of Henderson or Loudstrom, who, you know, Loudstrom in particular, who's actually contributed to quite a few goals this season for Sheffield United. Now I actually put an Arsenal player actually here. And my Arsenal player would actually be Mesut Ozil. Actually, I think that people didn't realize that he's going to be playing. And he's been quite integral to Arteta's plans. And if we're talking about creativity in both games, Ozil is going to be sort of involved. So Aubameyang, you could put in, but Aubameyang is actually quite expensive. Mesut Ozil is not the most expensive midfielder. So if you're wanting a relatively not inexpensive, but someone who's going to be playing in both game weeks, I think Ozil is a good shout. And then 3, because City, I would probably say I'd probably go for another unknown, but he's going to be coming back. So maybe it's one to bet because I bet on him. It's actually John McGinn. John McGinn, who plays for Aston Villa, has actually been injured for quite some time. Was actually a very, very good prospect, and he's actually now come back. So he's going to be fitting into the frame. I would certainly considering that he was considering he was so crucial for Villa, and he's going to be so crucial to Villa regarding their fight for survival. John McGinn, especially because a double game might actually be an interesting shout. So that's my 2 cents. So make that as you will. Now, just before we're about to finish, and there's still quite a few watching, so thank you guys so much for getting involved. There's about 3 questions, and there's so hopefully we can get through them. So the first question I have up, which is an average Joe, is the panel: who is better, Koulibaly or Van Dijk? I won't answer any of these. You guys go.
Who wants to go first? Up to you guys.
I'll let you answer this one, bro. I'll take the next one.
Well, if we talk, you know, the similar players, obviously, you know, there's been a lot of links with regards to, say, Koulibaly coming to a Premiership team. In particular, Man United being, you know, the big spenders and being the, you know, that would have this amazing war chest, which Edward would seem to can't open for some reason, to go and buy these players in particular. That would obviously make a difference. But I think, you know, Koulibaly is in a lot of a easier league in a sense. You know, it's a lot easier to defend in, say, the Serie A. You've got players like Ronaldo, but in the Premier League, it's a lot more high octane. It's a lot more, you know, work, should we say, running. You know, there's a lot of younger, fitter, brighter players in the Premier League than, say, the Italian League at current present. And I think the way that Van Dijk's obviously changed Liverpool's defensive fortunes is been a massive revelation. You know, I think if you take Van Dijk out of Liverpool's defence, it doesn't work as well. But it still would work, but it wouldn't work as well. He's obviously a major leader there. Yeah, so in particular, I'd probably say Van Dijk is better in a lot of areas than Koulibaly, but they're very, very similar players. So it'd be a big debate, and it'd take too long. And obviously, we need to wrap it up and everything. But if I'd say Van Dijk's the better player overall.
Fair enough. I think that balanced, concise. I think that's a fair point. That's definitely a fair point. So thanks. Next question. Let's quickly get the oh yeah, okay. This Josh might actually got more information on this. So this is Anas Saeed saying, "What are your thoughts that Werner has withdrawn from Leipzig's squad for the UCL so that he can settle to Chelsea in July?"
I thought there were a legal ban. Players can't join until all competitions have been completed.
That's what I was thinking.
Obviously, the Champions League and the Europa League's being discussed to be played in like a mini tournament in September. So it might be different. I don't know, but if it is true, I think it's huge disrespect to his team. Obviously in Leipzig, where he's been brought up and made into this amazing player, and he just dumps all of that just to join a team in particular. So, if in person, I don't agree with that. To be honest, I think it should be you stick with your team until your season's over, and then you obviously move on.
Fair enough. Josh, Sean, your thoughts on this?
Sorry, could you just give me the question again?
So what are your thoughts that Werner has withdrawn from Leipzig's squad for the UCL so that he can settle Chelsea in July?
Yeah. Interestingly, actually, I read in a German newspaper actually that Klopp and Werner did actually talk. I don't know whether you heard this, but yeah, they just I guess they weren't on the same page, which is a shame. But yeah, well, obviously he wants to, players at the moment want to play in the Premiership, so it's just. He wants to move into the Premiership. I guess that's why a lot of players want to force a move through by like saying I'm not playing anymore, or like I'm not partaking in training, which is the wrong attitude to have because it sends the new club the wrong message as well. But sometimes Luis Suarez he was kind of the same, like off the field he was always like a little bit strange in his behaviors. So. Yeah, it's just one of them things, isn't it? That today you just have to deal with. It's that whole player power kind of situation. Yeah.
Fair enough, Josh.
Yeah. Could you? Well, I don't know. I think if Werner, I don't know if that's true. How true that thing is about Werner.
Okay.
But if it is, I mean, that's just completely disrespectful. If you, especially if the club's treat you well, being there for a while,
exactly.
It's a bit of a slap in the face, and it's not like I'm not sure Leipzig's position at the minute, but they've got a. I'm sure they're focusing on their own Champions League. Is it second leg against? Did they finish their second leg? I can't remember against Tottenham.
Yeah, they beat.
Yeah, so they already finished that, and they're still still got a bloody season going on in the Bundesliga. It's not as if that's finished. So that is, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly if a player is signed now, how that's going to work, because obviously we had a summer transfer and a January transfer window, and then the transfers are kind of a bit messed up right now. So I don't know, will a player be able to play in the Champions League? Will they be eligible?
Well,
not entirely.
The thing is, so I look at this, for example, with like what's happening with United and Angel Gomez, because from what I'm understanding, there is nothing regarding legal regarding contracts. So Angel Gomez's contract, for example, expires at the end of June. Now, United still have tournaments till
whenever it ends.
Whenever it ends. So Angel Gomez could potentially, let's say Chelsea wants him, he can potentially play for Chelsea while the Premier League is still going on. His contract expires now, so that doesn't seem to change. But when it comes to buying players, that's where I don't, especially players in a different country. That's what I don't quite understand because of the whole flight restrictions and COVID and movement, etc., and actually when the transfer window actually opens, because it's the same thing with the Werner situation, which is like when does they've agreed, but when does the transfer window actually open? And I think we know when that. More intents and purposes, it's supposed to open on the June the 31st, but we don't know yet, and that for me is where you got uncertainty.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, just to, I know we're not talking about fantasy football right now, but just a quick point. You get unlimited transfers.
Yeah,
this week.
yeah.
So just wanted to point that out.
No, definitely. Just a few questions, then we'll wrap up. Thanks for these questions that are coming in. Rasmus A, really shout out to you, Rasmus, watching us on Twitch. What's the chance of Syria having a new champion? I really hope Lazio Inter will win it instead of Juve. Tom?
Hello? Oh, yeah, I just lost connection for a second then.
Oh, cool.
What did you say about Lazio and what?
So what's the chance of Syria having a new champion? I really hope Lazio Inter will win it instead of Juve.
Obviously, with Juve dominating the Italian league over the last couple of years and everything, it's put a bit of a sting in the tail, and it'd make the Serie A lot more competitive. Obviously, with having say a new title, and then there'd be all the questions asked of Juve. How will they respond to it? Obviously, not winning it this year, but they've won it on how many consecutive years and everything. So. No, I think if we had to choose, I think it'd be better for Juventus because it'd give them, that bit of a to say, we might need to go out and get some new players, maybe get a new manager if it's not working, obviously, with Allegri dominating the division, and then you brought in Maurizio Sarri to do the same thing, and he's not been able to do it. Is he in the right position? Is he the right man for the job and stuff? So. I think it'd benefit Juventus to lose one, to be honest. But no, I think it'd be all right if a different team won it this year, to be honest.
Fair enough. Josh, Sean, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think, if Leipzig, obviously I think I read a statistic somewhere that I think their manager is younger than Messi. So, this guy, if he can, I don't know who they're going to draw, obviously, in the next round after dismantling Tottenham. And Tottenham, I know, let's be honest, Tottenham were the finalists last year. I know Liverpool kind of put them away, but to sort of beat Tottenham, I think, I know I'm an Arsenal fan saying this, but, it was pretty good for them to... Pretty good feat for Leipzig to just dismantle Tottenham and over 2 legs. I don't think they actually conceded. I can't remember exactly. No, and I know that they didn't have Son and Kane and all that, but would it have really mattered? No. It might have put up a fight, but I wouldn't have seen them winning. So Leipzig could be a really dark horse. I know Werner's going. They've got Poulsen there. They've got a few others in Cuckoo, some really strong attacking people. Sabitzer. Forsberg, I don't think they're completely depleted. Their defense is pretty decent. Upamecano, who's been on Arsenal's radar for a while, who honestly I don't think we're going to get. But yeah, this whole situation's a bit of a mess. Serie A, I hope Lazio also do, Rasmus. One of my favorite streamers, he's a Lazio fan, and I sort of follow with his journey with the Serie A. That's the only reason I'm kind of interested in it, because of one of my favorite streamers. I don't think I would love for Lazio to win just because Juve have been dominating all this while. But should I go on a limb and say Lazio are going to win it? Immobile, I don't know why nobody talks about him. This guy is, I think it's 27 game, 26 goals, or vice versa. And yeah, he's a monster, man. Him and Milinkovic-Savic at Lazio are maybe top 5 players in the league. But yeah, I hope Lazio can do it. Probably Juve will do it, but I really would like Lazio to win it just for a bit of a change. But yeah, anyway, I went on too long there.
No, that's fine, buddy. That's fine.
I realized the stream was 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's. I'm gonna have to say the second. So, but it's just, but everyone's getting involved in the question one, so that's good, and appreciate everyone getting involved. Sean, last thoughts.
Yeah, last thoughts. I guess yeah.
Wait, you answered this question, didn't you?
I've already answered that question.
Oh, you
yeah.
answered the question. Sorry,
I thought you wanted me to start the show up.
Sorry, my bad. I
It's all
was
good.
like, that's the question. Let me just any other questions. I'm going to wrap things. I'm just going to quickly scroll through the comments see if there's any other questions, and then if not, we'll just wrap things up. No, I'm ignoring that. Phil Jones or Mustafi, who's better? Like that's it. There is NCC does say who is closest to Messi as a player, Neymar or Hazard?
Closest
Is that for everybody? Oh, for sure. Sorry.
Yeah, no, anybody can attack it.
As none of them are close to Messi.
No.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. That's a quick one there, old man G. That's a quick
Oh,
question.
rather than say what we're talking about with the thing says, I think the players will have to leave after European competitions. For example, Leonardo said that Cavani and Thiago Silva will leave after the UCL. Okay, fair enough, because their contracts expire at the end of the season. So, yeah, fair enough. There's got to be something there. So I understand. As Janavan has a quick question. Who do you think will win the Europa League?
That's honestly like I don't care.
Would you care if you were still in it? Would you care if you were still in it?
No, because as an Arsenal fan, you're used to having your hopes snatched away. Just like last season in the final, we got all the way to the final. We beat Napoli, we beat Valencia, we beat. There was another. Was it Eintracht Frankfurt?
Yeah, Frankfurt.
We beat 3 very, very good teams, and by pretty decent margins, only to lose to Chelsea, as if we didn't even show up. Like the only player who showed up was Iwobi and Torreira and Czech, I guess. And you can't, that's 3 players versus 11. So yeah, as an Arsenal fan, I just honestly, man, I just like to enjoy football, and for the Europa League, I just don't care. I think Man U will. I would say they're probably going to win it. You've got. I think Napoli's still in there, I believe, after finishing 3rd in their group. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, Napoli or Salzburg? I can't remember now.
Both of them.
Both of them. Yeah. Different groups. What am I talking about? And there's some other decent teams in there, if I'm not mistaken.
Inter Milan.
There you go. And is there a Bundesliga team still in there, or did they lose? Was Leverkusen?
I don't think so.
Leverkusen is still in. Yeah,
they're still in. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like on the face of it, it's really, really exciting. And I know I'm sounding like a hater here, but I just don't care. I'm so sorry. I'm sick of Europa League. Like teams like Man United and Arsenal should not be in the Europa League.
That is true.
But it is what it is. That just shows you how competitive the Premier League is now. So, I guess you're thankful for that. But yeah, I didn't actually watch the Europa League until the I think I watched the game where Pepe scored the 2 hat tricks because the 2 free kicks because I was at Old Man G's house and we were doing a podcast. I think it was on in the background. But after that, I didn't watch the Europa League until we played Olympiacos. And I was on my way to the flat, and someone texted me, and they were like, "Oh, sorry," and I was like, "What do you mean, sorry?" I got to the flat to catch the highlights, and yeah, we were knocked out. So yeah, that's the last time I'll watch the Europa League. Bit of a sad story, I know, but yeah, yeah, Man U for me. But yeah, I don't care about the Europa League.
Fair enough. Anyone have other thoughts on it? And then we'll just who's going to win, and then that'll be our last question. We'll wrap it up. I think Sean, you haven't spoken.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No. I pretty much the same as Josh. I do have to head out as well now. But yeah, pretty similar to what Josh is. Yeah, if it's not Champions League, then yeah.
It's just screw the Europa League, basically. Screw the Europa League. We shouldn't be in it. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate everyone who's coming by. We're back again next Monday around 9 o'clock. I know we've gone over stream for about 2 hours, so there was just so many people.
Oh wow! Okay.
Audience, and a lot of more people like obviously watching. And I appreciate that because it builds a community and it's a good discussion. And we're involved. So if we keep this time specifically till 9 o'clock on Mondays, we'll get involved. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Adore Studio. Follow us on Twitter and X, and smash the notification button. Take care, everybody. All the best, and thank you to everyone who's been on the panel and been involved. Have a nice day, and cheers. And